Eric Mason stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital defense platform Alpha. His eyes tracked the approaching ship belonging to the Zarnathi Empire. The alien vessel glowed with a purple light and dwarfed humanity's largest spacecraft by at least 20 times. "They're hailing us again, sir," said Lieutenant Olivia Grant from her station. Her fingers moved quickly across the control panel. "The Imperial envoy wants permission to land immediately." Mason's face hardened. "Send them the same response as before. Earth airspace is closed to the Zarnathi Empire." The United Earth Council made this decision unanimously. This bold move had shocked everyone in the galaxy. No one expected a species so new to space travel to stand against the most powerful empire in their region. But humans had good reasons for their actions. "Sir," they'd replied, Grant said nervously. "The envoy says our childish rebellion will have serious consequences. They're citing Article 7 of the Galactic Charter." Mason nodded slowly. "Just as we thought they would. Tell Central Command to begin contingency ripple. All around Earth, defensive weapons silently powered up as the planet prepared for what might happen next." 3 weeks earlier, Dr. Alan Winters discovered something that changed everything. The geneticist was working late in the Seattle Xenobiology Research Center. He compared information from human settlers on 7 different planets and found a troubling pattern. Every human population under Zarnathi protection showed signs of subtle genetic damage. "Damn it," he whispered before calling to his colleague. "Nancy, look at these markers. It's in the food they give us." Dr. Nancy Rodriguez examined the evidence with growing horror. "This is designed to attack human reproduction. It's subtle enough that it would take 3 generations to see the full effect, but enough to make sure we'd never challenge their power." Alan finished her thought. "They're slowly making us unable to have children." When this evidence reached the United Earth Council, they acted quickly and together. Humanity would no longer welcome the empire that had pretended to be a helpful guide, while secretly working to make humans extinct. On the bridge of the Imperial ship Righteous Dominion, High Envoy Krulzar raged as he received Earth's message. "Ridiculous," he hissed through his needle-like teeth. "We have helped 100 species join the galactic community. Who are these humans to reject us?" His assistant, Vexinar, approached carefully. "The humans claim they have proof of genetic tampering, sir. They've sent this information to all Imperial colonies." Krulzar's scaled skin darkened with anger. "Activate the submission protocols. Calculate positions for orbital attacks. These humans must learn their place." Back on Earth, the United Earth Council met in an emergency session. President Laura Chen spoke to the gathered representatives. "The Zarnathi demand that we remove our ban and accept Imperial oversight within 48 hours, she announced. "They threaten military action if we refuse." General Frank Daniels, the head of Earth Defense, stood up. "Madam President, Project Aegis is ready. We can protect Earth, but our colonies remain vulnerable." Chen nodded seriously. "Then we must show the Empire why they should fear humanity's determination. Send our answer. Earth will not only keep the ban but declares independence from all Imperial control." As night fell over Earth's major cities, citizens looked up at the stars, unaware of the confrontation happening above them. Some noticed unusual activity among military personnel, but few understood that humanity had just challenged the greatest power in the known galaxy. The next few days would determine whether that challenge would lead to a new age of freedom or to destruction. Chief Engineer Samantha Powell worked frantically in the control center hidden beneath Antarctic ice. Around her, the massive generators of Project Aegis hummed loudly as they powered up. The air felt charged with electricity and tension. "Plasma conduits at 87% capacity," reported her assistant, Kyle Washington. He wiped sweat from his forehead despite the cold. "Dimensional anchors are holding steady." Samantha checked the readings on her screen. "We need 92% minimum for full coverage. Divert power from the secondary grid." For 15 years, humanity had secretly developed technology from a crashed alien ship. The Zarnathi had called the wreckage primitive remnants and showed little interest in it, This was their biggest mistake. The technology humans created was unlike anything the Empire had seen before, a planetary shield that didn't just block attacks, but sent them back to whoever fired them. "The Zarnathi fleet has entered lunar orbit," announced the military officer in the room. His voice was tense. 17 capital ships and multiple support vessels. They're deploying something in high orbit. Samantha nodded grimly. Right on schedule. All personnel to safety positions. Initiating Aegis in 3, 2, 1. Across Earth, strange towers that had been disguised as communication equipment suddenly glowed with blue energy. The sky seemed to shimmer as an invisible dome formed around the planet. Admiral Jake Harrison watched from the UES Defiance, safely hidden behind Mars, as the Zarnathi fleet prepared to attack. "They're powering weapons," reported his tactical officer, Rebecca Lloyd. Her eyes never left her screen. Energy readings suggest a standard terror bombardment, enough to destroy major cities without making the planet uninhabitable. Harrison's eyes narrowed. "Record everything. The galaxy needs to see what their benevolent guides do to species who refuse to be controlled." The Zarnathi attack began with bright purple energy beams striking Earth's atmosphere. But instead of reaching the surface, the beams hit the shimmering shield and stopped. For a moment, the energy seemed suspended against the barrier. Then, to the shock of the Imperial gunners, the beams reversed direction. They traveled back along the same path and hit the very ships that had fired them. 3 Zarnathi destroyers burst into flames as their own weapons tore through their hulls. The remaining fleet scattered in confusion. Harrison allowed himself a small smile. "Send the message to all Zarnathi vessels. This was a demonstration. Earth is now closed to Imperial traffic. Any further attacks will be met with offensive measures." Across the galaxy, the news spread quickly. On 100 worlds, subject species watched forbidden broadcasts of Earth repelling the mighty Imperial fleet. On the Zarnathi homeworld, Emperor Zex Kral received the disturbing reports in his obsidian throne room. "Impossible," he raged, his voice echoing off the black walls. "No young species could develop such technology on their own. Someone has helped them." His chief scientist, Tralvex, trembled as he delivered his analysis. "Majesty, the technology appears to be precursor in origin. The humans have somehow activated artifacts we thought were dead." The Emperor froze. The precursors, the mysterious species whose ruins were found throughout the galaxy, had vanished thousands of years ago. They left only fragments of their advanced technology. The Imperial policy had always been to hide knowledge of these artifacts from younger races. Could they have discovered the truth? He whispered, fear evident in his voice for the first time in centuries. Tralvex hesitated. "There is another possibility, Majesty. Our scientists have noticed unusual patterns in human DNA, patterns that look similar to precursor genetic markers." The Emperor's eyes widened. "You mean?" "Yes, Majesty. The humans may be descendants of the precursors themselves. Our sterilization program may have been targeting the very species we have feared would return." 1 year after Earth's successful defense against the Zarnathi attack, the galaxy had changed dramatically. 27 former Imperial subject races had declared independence from the Empire. Their representatives now sat together in the newly formed Galactic Council of Free Species. Commander Eric Mason, now Ambassador Mason, stood before them. He wore the formal blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps with quiet dignity. "The evidence cannot be denied." Mason addressed the assembly. His voice carried throughout the Grand Chamber. "The Zarnathi Empire has systematically undermined every species under their so-called protection. We have documented their genetic tampering programs on 43 worlds. The revelation of the Empire's true nature had broken its control over many worlds. Earth had provided shield technology to former subject planets, which weakened the Imperial grip even further. Humanity does not want to replace one empire with another," Mason continued. "Instead, we propose a true alliance where all members are equal. We will share technology and defend each other." In orbit above the Council world, Earth's new defense fleet stood ready. These ships combined human innovation with precursor principles. As more humans discovered their connection to the ancient species, they unlocked more of this knowledge. The Zarnathi representative, no longer bearing his imperial titles, watched with barely hidden anger as the Council voted unanimously to approve the new alliance. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Alan Winters and Dr. Nancy Rodriguez continued their research in the Seattle Xenobiology Research Center. Their lab had expanded significantly, now filled with scientists from a dozen different species. "The repair sequence is working," Nancy said, examining data on her screen. "The genetic damage from Zarnathi tampering is reversing in test subjects from all affected species." Alan nodded, but his attention was on a different project. "That's excellent news. But look at this pattern we found in the precursor ruins on Epsilon IV." Nancy moved to his side and studied the display. Her eyes widened. "That's a star map, with Earth at the center." "Not just Earth," Alan said quietly. "It shows every world where humans have unusual genetic markers. And look at the date stamp." Nancy gasped. "This map is over 50,000 years old. But that would mean..." "The precursors didn't disappear," Alan finished. "They scattered. They became us." On the Zarnathi homeworld, Emperor Zexkrol faced growing unrest. Many noble houses questioned his rule after the humiliating defeats at Earth and other rebellious worlds. "The humans continue to spread their lies," he hissed to his remaining loyal advisors. "They turn our subjects against us with promises of freedom and technology. Perhaps we should consider a different approach, Majesty," suggested his new chief diplomat. "The old ways are failing. The humans and their allies grow stronger each day." The Emperor's scaled skin darkened with anger. "Never. We ruled this galaxy before these humans crawled from their caves. We will not bow to them now." But even as he spoke, a message arrived from his intelligence service. The report confirmed his worst fears. Archaeological teams on 17 worlds had discovered precursor artifacts activated by human touch. These artifacts revealed the true history of the galaxy, a history the Empire had worked for millennia to hide. Back at the Galactic Council, Ambassador Mason concluded his address to thunderous applause from the assembled representatives. Later, walking with Chief Scientist Olivia Grant through the Council gardens, Mason looked up at the stars. "Do you think we'll ever find all of them?" he asked. "All the scattered children of the precursors?" Grant smiled. "Perhaps that's our true mission now, not just to protect ourselves, but to reunite the family that was scattered across the stars so long ago." Above them, the night sky filled with the lights of visiting ships. Representatives from all corners of the galaxy came to meet the species that had dared to ban an empire, and in doing so, had changed the course of galactic history forever. 2 years after Earth's stand against the Zarnathi Empire, humanity's influence continued to grow. The Earth Expedition Force, led by Captain Olivia Grant, pushed deeper into unexplored space. Their mission, to find more lost human colonies and precursor artifacts. The EEF flagship Explorer glided silently through the darkness beyond the Orion Arm. On the bridge, Captain Grant studied the star chart displayed on the main screen. "These energy readings match the precursor signature we found on Epsilon IV," she said. "Whatever's in this system, it's important." Her first officer, Lieutenant Patrick Murphy, nodded. "The Zarnathi historical records we captured suggest they avoided this region entirely. They called it the void where memory sleeps." "Poetic for such practical conquerors," Grant remarked. "Let's find out what they were afraid of." As Explorer entered the system, sensors detected a planet hidden behind the glare of its sun. The planet showed signs of ancient artificial structures covering much of its surface. "No life signs," reported Science Officer Amy Wells. "But there's a massive energy source coming from the northern continent. It's pulsing." Grant felt a strange sensation as they approached the planet, a sense of recognition, of coming home. "Prepare a landing party," she ordered. "Full containment protocols, but I want to see this place with my own eyes." On the planet's surface, Grant led her team across a landscape of crumbling towers and overgrown plazas. The architecture seemed both alien and strangely familiar. Some structures bore markings similar to the oldest human writing systems from Earth. "According to my readings, the energy source is just ahead," Wells said, checking her scanner. Inside that central structure, the team entered a vast chamber at the heart of what must have been a great city. In the center stood a glowing crystalline pillar that pulsed with blue light. As Grant approached, the pulsing quickened, as if responding to her presence. "Captain, I'm picking up data transmission," Wells said excitedly. It's uploading directly to our ship's computer." When Grant reached out her hand toward the crystal, it flared brilliantly. Images flooded her mind. Stars exploding, worlds burning, and a desperate plan to preserve a civilization by hiding its children among the stars. "I understand now," she whispered as the vision faded. "The precursors weren't just our ancestors. They were running from something." Back on Earth, Dr. Alan Winters received the transmission from Explorer with growing concern. The data revealed a terrible truth. The precursors had fled across the galaxy to escape an ancient enemy called the Devourers. These beings consumed entire civilizations, and according to the records, they returned to active regions of the galaxy every 50,000 years. "If these calculations are correct," he told President Chen during an emergency briefing, "the cycle is nearly complete. The Devourers will return soon." Chen's face remained calm despite the news. "Do we have any advantage the precursors lacked?" "Possibly," Winters replied. "The precursors scattered to hide. We're uniting. And we have something they didn't: the shield technology that protected us from the Zarnathi." Meanwhile, on the Zarnathi homeworld, Emperor Zexkral received disturbing reports from deep space monitoring stations. Something massive was moving at the galaxy's edge, consuming everything in its path. "The ancient texts speak of this," his chief archivist said, voice trembling. "The hunger that never ends. Our ancestors knew of its coming, but hoped it would not return in their time." The Emperor realized with growing dread that the Empire's long suppression of precursor knowledge had left them unprepared for the true threat. The humans, in their rebellion, had inadvertently discovered what the Zarnathi had spent millennia trying to forget. "Contact the Earth ambassador," he ordered, swallowing his pride. Tell them we have information they need. And that perhaps, for the survival of all, even old enemies must stand together." 5 months after the discovery of the Precursor Archive, representatives from over 100 species gathered at Earth's orbital platform Alpha. Even the Zarnathi, once humanity's greatest enemies, stood among them. The massive observation deck, originally built for defense, now served as the meeting place for the greatest alliance in galactic history. Ambassador Eric Mason watched as Emperor Zexkral himself approached. The Zarnathi ruler no longer displayed the arrogance that once defined him. His scales had dulled from their former brilliant green to a subdued gray, a sign of stress in his species. "Ambassador Mason," the Emperor said, his voice lacking its usual hiss, "my scientists have analyzed the data your expedition discovered. The threat is real and approaching faster than we initially calculated." Mason nodded grimly. "Our estimates give us 8 months before the first Devourer ships reach populated systems. We're calling the defense project Galactic Shield." On the main display, Dr. Alan Winters presented the combined research of 50 worlds. His hologram pointed to specific areas of the galaxy. "The Devourers consume energy in all forms, including life itself," he explained. "Based on precursor records and our observations of their approach, they appear to travel in 3 main groups." The display showed massive swarms of ship-like structures moving through space like locusts, leaving emptiness behind them. "Our plan has 3 parts," continued Dr. Winters. "First, we establish shield generators on key worlds. Second, we deploy energy weapons based on precursor designs. And third, perhaps most importantly, We evacuate populations from the most vulnerable systems. In orbit above Earth, construction had already begun on the largest spacecraft ever built by any species. The vessel, named Unity, would serve as both a mobile shield generator and an evacuation ship capable of transporting millions. Captain Olivia Grant had been given command of Unity. She walked its partially completed corridors with Chief Engineer Kyle Washington, reviewing progress. The Zarnathi metallurgists have improved the shield projectors by 37%, Washington reported, and the Nelvaran crystal specialists have doubled the power core efficiency. Grant nodded with satisfaction. It's amazing what we can accomplish when we work together instead of conquering each other. How soon until we can begin installations on the outer colony worlds? 3 weeks for the first units, Washington replied. The automated factories are producing them at maximum capacity. Meanwhile, on the frontier world of New Eden, the reality of the approaching threat became clear. Strange disturbances appeared in the planet's atmosphere as the first tendrils of devourer influence reached the outer systems. Colony Governor Peter Collins directed evacuation efforts as the sky turned an unnatural purple. All civilians to transports immediately, he ordered through the emergency broadcast system. Bring only essential items. Earth Defense Forces will cover your departure. In orbit, Commander Ryan Hayes watched from the bridge of the EDF Defender as civilian ships launched from the surface. His sensors detected multiple unknown objects approaching from the system's edge. Maintain position, he ordered his crew. We hold until the last transport is away. The first Devourer scout ships appeared, twisted organic mechanical hybrids that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved with unnatural speed toward the planet. Shield generators online, reported Hayes' tactical officer. But they're untested against this enemy. Hayes watched as the Devourer ships approached. We're about to find out if humanity's greatest invention works against humanity's greatest threat. All weapons lock on and fire when they reach optimal range. As the battle for New Eden began, it marked the first engagement in what would become known as the Preservation War. Across the galaxy, former enemies now worked side by side, their ancient conflicts forgotten in the face of extinction. Back on Earth, Ambassador Mason looked out at the assembled representatives and spoke words that would echo through history. We banned an empire from our world. Now we must ban extinction from our galaxy. The battle for New Eden became the turning point in the war against the Devourers. Commander Ryan Hayes and the EDF Defender had held the line long enough for the shield technology to prove its worth. The Devourer scouts, upon striking the shield, didn't just bounce off. They disintegrated, their energy-consuming structures overloaded by the reflected power. Send this data to all Allied fleets, Hayes ordered as his ship limped away from the battlefield. Pattern Delta 7 shield harmonics are effective against their smaller vessels. 3 months into the conflict, humanity led a coalition unlike any the galaxy had seen before. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years now fought side by side. The Zarnathi battle cruisers, once feared throughout the sector, now protected evacuation routes for dozens of worlds. On Unity, now fully operational and serving as the Alliance's mobile headquarters, Captain Olivia Grant coordinated the defense of the Proxima sector. The massive ship, nearly the size of a small moon, housed representatives from 87 species and served as both shield generator and refuge. The Devourers have changed their approach, Grant observed during a strategy meeting. They're no longer sending scout ships ahead. They're moving their main swarm as one unit. Emperor Zex-Krull, now a trusted advisor despite his species' past actions, studied the tactical display. They're adapting, learning from their losses. This is behavior the ancient texts never mentioned. Dr. Alan Winters, connected via hologram from Earth's primary research facility, looked troubled. That suggests intelligence beyond simple consumption. The precursor records describe them as a force of nature, not a thinking enemy. Intelligent or not, they're coming for the Rigel colonies next, Grant said. We need to evacuate 7 worlds before they arrive. On Earth, humanity's homeworld had transformed into the production center for the Alliance. Factories that once made consumer goods now produced shield generators and weapons. Fields that grew food now housed massive refugee camps for species whose worlds had been lost. President Laura Chen walked through one such camp, where the bird-like aviary had established a temporary colony. Children from both species played together despite their physical differences. "We have lost our nesting world," the aviary leader, Wing Commander Kree, told her. "But you have given us hope for our fledglings. This debt cannot be measured." Chen shook her head. "There is no debt between allies. Your scientists have improved our shield designs, and your pilots fly alongside ours. We survive together, or not at all." At the front lines, the Alliance had developed a new strategy. Instead of trying to hold every world, they created fortified, shield worlds. Planets equipped with multiple overlapping shield generators that could protect entire regions of space. Between these strongholds, fast-moving fleets intercepted smaller Devourer forces. Commander Eric Mason, now Admiral Mason, led one such fleet aboard the flagship Defiance. His ships had just successfully defended a shield installation on the moon of Proxima IV. "Admiral, we're receiving a strange signal," reported his communications officer. "It's coming from within the Devourer formation." Mason frowned. "Put it through." The signal resolved into a voice. Mechanical but with disturbing organic undertones. "We recognize you now, children of the Forerunners. Your patterns are familiar. You were hidden, but now you are found." A chill ran down Mason's spine. "Can you trace that transmission's exact source?" "Yes, sir. It's coming from the center of their main swarm. There appears to be a structure there much larger than the others." Mason immediately contacted Unity. "Captain Grant, the Devourers have a central command structure. They're not just mindless consumers, they're being directed." Grant's expression hardened as she received this news. "Then we may have found their weakness. If we can strike at their control center rather than fighting endless drones, we might end this war in one decisive blow," Mason finished. The Alliance now had a target, but reaching it meant penetrating the densest concentration of Devourer forces, a suicide mission by any standard calculation. "Prepare a strike team," Grant ordered. "I'll lead it myself." The plan to strike at the heart of the Devourer swarm required precise timing and perfect coordination. Captain Olivia Grant stood on the bridge of Unity as the Allied fleet assembled. Over 300 ships from 27 species formed the largest battle group ever created. "All ships report ready, Captain," said Lieutenant Kyle Washington. His voice remained steady despite the gravity of their mission. Grant nodded. "Begin Operation Sunspear." The fleet moved into formation around Unity. The massive ship now carried a weapon unlike any before it. A modified shield generator designed not to protect but to focus energy into a devastating beam. Scientists from Earth and 7 other worlds had worked day and night to create it, combining precursor knowledge with modern innovations. "Shield energy at maximum capacity," reported the Zarnathi weapons officer. Targeting systems locked on the coordinates Admiral Mason provided. In the heart of the Devourer swarm, Admiral Mason led a smaller force of fast attack ships. Their mission was to create a brief opening in the enemy formation, just long enough for Unity's weapon to strike the central control structure. "All ships, execute Maneuver Phoenix," Mason ordered. "Draw their attention and remember, you only need to hold for 7 minutes." His fleet scattered, each ship firing bright energy bursts designed to attract the Devourers. The enemy responded predictably, thousands of smaller ships breaking formation to chase what they perceived as easy prey. "It's working," Mason told his pilot. "Take us deeper. I want visual confirmation of the control structure." The Defiance slipped through the temporary gap in the Devourer lines. For the first time, human eyes saw the heart of the enemy force, a massive crystalline structure that pulsed with dark energy. Unlike the organic mechanical hybrid ships surrounding it, this structure appeared ancient and entirely artificial. "My God," Mason whispered, It looks like a precursor design, but corrupted somehow. He transmitted the images back to Unity, where Dr. Alan Winters analyzed them with growing excitement. Captain Grant, that structure is definitely precursor technology, Winters confirmed. But its energy signature is inverted. I believe the Devourers didn't destroy the precursors. They infected their technology and turned it against them. Grant understood the implications immediately. Then our shield-based weapon might be exactly what we need. It's based on precursor principles but modified by human hands. The gap is closing, Admiral Mason reported. We can't hold much longer. Grant made her decision. All ships, clear the target vector. Firing in 30 seconds. Unity's massive energy collectors, spanning the length of the ship, glowed bright blue as they channeled power into the central emitter. The ship itself trembled with the immense forces being controlled. Fire, Grant ordered. A blinding beam of energy shot from Unity, cutting through space toward the heart of the Devourer swarm. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the beam struck the control structure. The reaction was immediate and unexpected. Instead of destroying the structure, the energy seemed to purify it. The corruption that had twisted the precursor technology began to burn away. The dark crystal lightened, changing from black to deep purple to blue. What's happening? Grant demanded. Dr. Winters studied the readings with astonishment. The weapon isn't destroying it. It's resetting it. The precursor defensive system is rebooting to its original programming. Throughout the galaxy, Devourer ships suddenly froze in place. Their organic components withered and fell away, revealing the precursor technology beneath. On the Bridge of Defiance, Admiral Mason watched in awe as the control structure transformed completely. It now glowed with the same blue light as Earth's shield technology. A voice, clear and melodious, unlike the mechanical drone they had heard before, echoed through all communication channels. Infection purge. Guardians reactivating. Thank you, children of Earth. The precursor defense network is online once more. Across the galaxy, on worlds old and new, people looked up to see Devourer ships dissolving harmlessly in orbit. The war had ended not with destruction, but with restoration. 1 year later, humanity celebrated not just its survival, but a new understanding of its place in the cosmos. Earth had banned an empire, and in doing so, had awakened to its true heritage as the inheritors of the precursor legacy. Ambassador Eric Mason, speaking before the Galactic Council, summarized it best. We didn't just close our borders to protect ourselves. We opened the gateway to our past and secured the future for all.